Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with OMI is my homie number 59 with my co-host Crypto Rain and Dr. Stuff. So everyone, before David gets here, say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi.
What's up,
And
Dashi?
we're about to get this bread. I unfortunately will not be able to go over most of the comments, but we'll get to some of them right now. Homie podcast. Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you, Bobby Green. So refreshing to see that. We have him up. I know
Bobby's awesome.
He's pretty great. I know we have a couple of things here that we plan to go over. In the event of we have the normal show, which we could do right now before he comes on, and then we have a couple questions. Well, oh, never mind. He is here.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Back at the office, business as usual. Early starts and finish late. Yeah, but pretty upbeat. Lots of good things happening here. Yeah.
Did we just see you with glasses on?
Yes. I have a reading glasses. Yeah. Working at Ecomi and VeVe. Basically, that's what that gives you.
Didn't know you had that, but sorry if that's mine or I'm hearing a little bit of feedback.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might just be me. That's my fault. Anyway, we know you don't have a ton of time here because there's a ton of stuff going on, both at the company, both in the world. So I want to go in and we'll start it off with Doc. He was the first one that had some questions.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Dr. Stuff, it is up to you first.
We're getting pretty bad echo. I think it's coming out your speakers, David, and going right back into your microphone.
Is that okay? Let me have a think how the best. Let me leave and I'll come back in again.
Copy. Anyway, so it looks like peace is amongst us, and we'll the markets are ripping. I feel very, very excited about this. This is one of the things that I love about markets, when things rewarding good behavior, when countries be like, yes, we will not attack each other. They do that. That is one of my favorite things to do. To get some of the comments here. Connor saying, oh, I don't even know what that is. But love you, Connor. Go, David and Randy. Meow, meow, meow. Let's get that alpha, boys. So our job is not to necessarily get the alpha. It's, for me, I'm going to ask questions in which I think I would like to know if I was going to invest in a company, if I didn't know anything about the CEO. How do you guys go and approach it?
How do we go in and approach?
I mean, I think it's not necessarily the alpha. I mean, we'll try to ask some questions, right? But that.
Is it better, guys?
Yes, that seems to be much better. And Dr. Stuff, I believe we'll start off with you.
Can you guys hear David? Can you hear him well? He's really soft for me.
He's quiet on mine too.
Maybe
is my sound a bit light?
Your sound's yes, it's a bit light.
Yeah, I wonder what settings I need to do here, guys.
Well, everyone, we're going to ask you to turn your volume up because that's what we're dealing with.
Okay. It's on this. Normally it's pretty good.
Let me connect my headphones.
All right, try it right now. Also, David, you're on mute.
Well, now he's on mute.
Maybe he's trying something. Maybe he put his laptop in rice.
Yeah, can you guys hear me a bit better?
Oh, that's amazing.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
way better.
All right, Doc, let's get this read.
Okay. No, well, Randy had asked David, what do I normally do? I mean, right now, what do we normally do when we have a CEO of a project on? Because people are like, oh, let's get that alpha. And I said, well, obviously, we definitely try to get some alpha, but at the same time, like, it's great to kind of hear your perspective on things, especially where the where VeVe's at right now, but also get your thoughts on where it's headed in the future. And so, one of the questions I had, and we'll just dive into it, but let's see. So VeVe is this digital collectibles platform, but I'd love to know your thoughts on, do you truly see digital collectibles becoming mainstream? And if so, like within what time frame, just in generalities, but then also how do you see them what are the mechanisms or the things or the mechanics that are going to bring digital collecting to the mainstream?
Yeah, so obviously we've seen the initial 2021-22, the NFT hype cycle. And if you look at traditionally in any, not just collectible business, any technology being adopted, the adoption progress, you'll go through that bell curve. And the idea, is as the curve goes up, the trajectory will be going up 45 degrees, growing, just like Web 2, gaming. I mean, when you look at the adoption of streaming in music, streaming in gaming, it took a while, because it's very hard in a way that the collectors out there, the mentality is that physical piece, that element, had that emotional attachment. Where I really think the curve will really to take off is within the next 2 to 5 years. And this is mainly in couple reasons. And number one, let's go back a little bit about the VeVe collectors and the users, the journeys, the age group. Most of our demographic is about 25 to that 45. Is actually quite surprising, even to some of our licensed partners and licensors, that they will think the early adopters will come in at the much earlier age, and we're talking like 18 plus still. Now, that hasn't happened for a couple of reasons. Number one is the entry price. Obviously, in the VeVe collectibles are not. I will not say it's very cheap to enter, and I will not say it's very expensive. But when you look at the physical goods, the blind box, in general, the blind box goes retail from as low as $10, $15 retail, getting a physical piece. Now, so that's number one, the pricing aspect of it. So the disposable income is very important. But the most interesting part, and where we will see the major growth, is that Gen Z. And why that Gen Z is going to be very important in our business is that if you look at the Pokemon example, the trading cards, I started selling Pokemon cards at 98. And in the midst of 2014, 15, it went down to a similar cycle. It wasn't, particular popular like where it is today, where people are putting on their credit card, their life savings on it, withdrawing their 401s, betting everything on. It's a bit crazy at the moment, but that cycle really came in because COVID. The adults like yourself who grew up with Pokemon had it in the attic, had it packed away in your parents' house. During COVID period, you took out all these nostalgia things, and collectible went up. I mean, you saw watches, luxury watches, one. You saw gaming, NFT was another one. Trading cards, sports car, comic book, even stamps. People were bringing out their old stamp and coin collection. So everything in the hobby industry in terms of collecting all continued to grow. There were few sectors that actually declined. You probably saw the sneakerheads. That industry kind of blew up itself. I guess it has its own reasons, and or people grow out of them. You start seeing people's collection getting biodegraded because the shoes were made from recycled material. So people invest a lot of money in the shoe. But what I'm trying to get into is that when talk about the nostalgia-ness of that trading card, when you bring it out and start showing it to your kids and then collecting it, having that similar interest, it's a very key aspect of it. Now, so that's very important for people who collect physical and what's in the cards, they bring it out. Now, the digital aspect is most of the Gen Z, most of the millennial, they understand digital skin, digital assets in the gaming characters. They spend a lot of time. I think the other day I was reading an article. This guy spent 1,000 hours plus on his Mario game, and he got the new Switch, and he was trying to load his account from the old one to the new one, and actually lost the entire data. Even those assets had no intangible. It's not tangible. It's not a NFT or on blockchain on anything. He felt he lost his whole entire aspect in terms of gaming and collecting that time and that journey. So the importance to that gentleman, that person who lost that, and while merging the accounts or whatever he was doing, it was very important for him that he wants it back, even though that asset has no resale value. So when you look at the other angle of it, is kids these days, they spend thousands of dollars and hours on those Fortnites, Roblox, Minecraft. They're going to get it when they get older. And we saw this when Minecraft, the movie, came out with starring Jack Black, where that scene when they're in that ring, that chicken zombie came out, everyone went berserk crazy. I kind of didn't get it. I saw it on the internet. I laughed. It was amusing. It was funny, entertaining for me. But I missed that whole era because I wasn't a Minecraft player. But those people who knows, and they will go and collect the Lego or the Happy Meals toys because it is important to them. So now those collectors eventually is just going to grow up in the next 2 or 3 years. And then that digital aspect on VeVe, on any NFT, if it trigger their interest and that nostalgia-ness, they will actually think that digital collecting is just normal because they were playing the Minecraft game and that was important to them. So for them, those intangible asset and digital is very valuable for them. And then as they grow up, the new generation alpha, when they get older, eventually they will also be in that digital trend. So I don't think physical will ever go away, number one, but that digital is going to accelerate once that age group start to catch up. It's similar to, you ask a lot of these young generations, do you remember the old phones that you have to turn around the dials, or even the bricks phones? I think most of them are born, they straight away go into a smartphone, with a panel to push on. They haven't even seen phones with buttons on it. So because of that, you will see that acceleration when that age group start to catch up, and they basically will just merge in, and that digital collecting will be just there. And the beauty around that, on top of that, is that this generation who owns an NFT or knows about digital collecting, they will tell their kid, and their kid kind of know, back in 2021, it was a big hype, and here's a digital wallet with all the old things. And looking back, VeVe will probably on season 15 or 16. I think we're on season 9 at the moment. and they might go, wow, you know, I didn't know there was all this going back to season 1. There was the Donnies, there was the Todds, the Rissells. So I think, you know, that nostalgia-ness will be similar, reflected in the Pokemon. And one other thing is we never have any intention trying to take over that physical world. We just really providing a new option, a new medium for collectors out there to have an opportunity to own these. And also very important is that we are trying to figure out ways how we can to get more market share. And that digital program, that we have more products coming out that I believe that will help to drive that. And, you know, with that program, with that saying, you know, you guys have to stay tuned with what's coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me just recap. What's that?
Yeah, hopefully it gives you my take and perspective, how I think that, you know, VeVe, you know, eventually will converge into, you know, that massive growth phase where users will just, you know, adopt, come in.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna recap a little bit of what you just said at the end there, make sure I understood it. But one of the things you're saying, basically, Gen Z, as Gen Z gets older and they have more disposable income, that's when mainstream adoption is gonna come in, and then also Generation Alpha, right? Which, like, I have a daughter in Generation Alpha, and then like a son as well, and they ask me all the time, David, to like have Iron Man, like to take a video of my Iron Man collectible and shoot them and they fall down, or like have Hulk smash them, like, and they'll do that literally for hours if I let them. Like, they'll just all the different animations. So I agree with you, like, that kids, as they're growing up, they're so much more used to digital than they are. I mean, they'll always have that physical, right? But they're very, very comfortable with digital, and they see a lot of value in that. But to recap, you were saying that there's going to be some sort of announcement tying in or piquing the interest of Gen Z. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we, you know, my part of our job, you know, like I talked about, that bell curve is, how do I get more users coming? And the easiest way is to get that mass market audience, and how, you know, I'm coming up with ways and efforts to put our product in front of them. And we, in my mind and my plan, that I do have a cycle of how I want to get this going without, you know, giving you guys too much alpha on it. We do have a plan, and we also plan to announce this plan to everyone when the timing is right. And you know, I'm really hoping it will be, you know, end of this month or first week of July. There's just few bits and pieces that we want to make sure it's all tied in well. We are going to be launching. We're just finding a timing to announce this.
Can't wait. All right, so a couple weeks then. That was awesome. Yeah. I know we don't have too much time. Rain, you got a question in the chamber?
Yes. So, David, VeVe's shown with the VeVe Gold and Silver logo that real life utility drives demand for digital collectibles. How are the conversations going with some of the IP brands on them implementing some kind of real life type utility for their collectibles?
Yes. So we have a lot of discussion with our partners and licensors. The easier low-hanging fruit has always been the independent artists and IP to work with, and simply because what we want to make sure in VeVe is that people understand the collectible that they bought, the utility value is what we advertise, and we have given you the ability for you to use the AI feature, the videos, recording, pouring into the VeVeVerse, your home. The additional things that we bring out, some of the larger licensors are very carefully to ensure that we use in the industry we're in, is that we use the word surprise and delight. We kind of want to make sure that we advertise everything that we're offering out front. If you have the craft to own, craft to buy something, craft to pay and get something out front, VeVe with the gold and silver logo was one of the first program that we run internally to ensure that that you get more utility out of it. But a key part around what VeVe gold and silver logo is that we didn't sell them. So it's not like we were selling the collectibles and then promising you something out of it. Basically, you were given these, you know, from our own, like a business card. They originally were designed to be giving out to partners in meetings that we go to, and maybe about a couple dozen of these gold and silver logo is still in the executive of these licensed companies' business card wallet. They never redeem it. It's like when we finish a meeting, we go, here's our business card. Here's a free logo on it. You can redeem it on our app and just to see what it feels like and what it is to own one of these. So there's that element. So a major part for our partners to come on and wanting to do that, we have to negotiate every single one of them, and we have to make sure that their legal team are comfortable with the wording around it. What we don't want is people who sold their collectibles early on and realize, well, if I knew I was going to get this at the end, I would have kept it. Well, but we also do identify that collectability is about scarcity. It's about collecting the sets, and a lot of you probably have seen, for example, the comics that we have brought out. The new frontlist comics, there's a lot less edition than the backlist. Obviously, when comic first came out, it was very popular. So we are going to try to work out a way to retire, or there's actually another better word to use, not retire, but how we can take these off the market and eventually burn them. So we are going to come up with some announcement through our proper channel that will announce how we want to do that and how you will redeem and get something else. And that's really to reduce that population of those older comics, to make them a bit more scarce. And we see that similar in the trading cards. We see it in grading. You know, when people open up another booster box of Pokemon and get them graded, there's more population of like PSA 10s. And that kind of, when you have more and more, it kind of reduce that collectability in that secondary market. So in VeVe, we really understand, well, at least I very much understand that collectability is a very key part of why the app has got that stickiness. So it is very important that we are going to come up with ways and plans to help reduce some of these comics, to reduce the population of them on the app.
Good. I had another question about the VeVeVerse, David. Now, this is looking a little bit in the future. What would you like to see the VeVeVerse look like and be able to do in 5 years?
Yeah, I think when we first talked about, I always talk about VeVeVerse as your home, your space, because I like to think when you depot yourself, when you open VeVeVerse, the first thing is about you. It's about your identity. I mean, that's why people have beautiful homepages, or people have profile avatars on their Twitter account or their LinkedIn or their Instagram. So number one, what we would like to see is, I like to see is how that become your personal identity, very much close to you. That's number one. Now, number two, something very important for me is that creative economy. I see most of these companies, the larger company out there, by providing a platform, is by allowing users to build things on it, and you build things on it, eventually you're going to have economy around it, and that user content economy is going to be a major part of VeVe, and that's what we want to continue to provide. We have seen California Comics. Daniel, he's put a tremendous effort in getting his comic store set up. So if you think about stage one is, okay, this guy, and we never thought anyone would be setting up a comic store. Now this guy is putting all his collectibles into trying to run a small enterprise on top of VeVe and the platform. We are trying to work out how we can help him more. You know, what will a real comic shop does? Okay, I own a retail shop. If I wanted to print my exclusive cover for my own retail store, I will go to the publisher to go, listen, I would like to publish a special comic cover for my retail store for my audience. The publisher will go, well, how many would you like to order? And they will tie it in with their next release. So number one is, you know, people who's in that creative economy, how we can create that economy for them with our power, with our branding to help them to thrive. Because the whole ecosystem is only going to work when you guys are winning, then we win together. I also have seen car dealership. I mean, there was this collector out there with 400 Lamborghini, I believe. He created the world's largest dealership for Lamborghini. No other Lamborghini dealership, even close to anywhere physically, will have the collection he has. You know, for us, I'm already thinking, well, how can I get a collab with an artist? And let's say Ron design a one-of-one Lamborghini. How will I want to launch this? You know, with VeVe want to help this guy with the dealership to sell the first one-of-one Lamborghini dealer in that dealership to showcase it. So that creative economy is going to be a major part in our roadmap. And third part is the ease and that accessibility in the metaverse. So we do have on the web, and right now a lot of you know one of the major setbacks with VeVeVerse is that you do need to have a very powerful computer, at least above entry level, for you to run, because the models are so intense. That's one. And so the accessibility is not just around the modeling, about the computer power, but it's also about, you know, how do we make those objects a lot easier. A lot of our content users out there are pouring in tens of thousands of hours to use these objects to build things. How can we make that easier? So, and in the next, you know, year, 2 years, 3 years, as we progress, that's going to be an important part. And another key part, even talking with Dan before coming on the show, is around how do we make mobile first on VeVeVerse? Because actually, you guys just want to have that VeVeVerse on your mobile. How do we run it? And the issues that we are facing when we are doing beta tests behind it. So, so this has been a major discussion with me and Dan is, do we choose to leapfrog it now and to be in the future, or do we pave the way slowly using older technology, but more intensive time spent on it and achieve it over a period of time? So we, you know, for me, in the next even 2 weeks, I will need to be making that decision where that role is going to go down. We're in that intersection where we either go to the left or we go to the right. So we want to make sure that we pick the right path. So that's a key part, because that will be determining where this business is going to be going in the next 5 years. So we, you know, these just pointing 3 simple things out, a key aspect of it. But where I really see the VeVeVerse is you will be able to transcend yourself in the real life. All the brands that you see in your day-to-day life, you're going to see it in your home in VeVeVerse. Like every other company out there trying to create that as real as possible, bringing that experience, that brand that you love, that things that you watch on TV onto that VeVeVerse. That's what we want to provide. And then from there onwards, it's unlimited. We could be running contents for streaming. We could be running contents for digital events, digital concerts. We could be running. You could be running a karaoke karaoke bar in VeVeVerse and run competitions there. There could be leaderboards for certain things. And one other key part will be gamification. How can users start building games in VeVeVerse? And that's where we envision that where we should be and where we should be guiding ourselves in the next few years.
Thank you.
It's quite ambitious. But by the way, the question is what I would like to see, not what we're going to do today.
Randy, you had some questions.
Yeah, I know, David, you're on a hard stop here, and we're probably already past that. So I'll just ask you one yes or no question. We'll put up Ernie Mouse's, he's a level 100 comment here real quick, saying that the tokens that you guys have burned already from the vault and from the reserve, that's great. Now it seems that the tokens that you and Dan have might be a little out of balance because you have a large percentage of it. I'm going to combine that with a question from Turtle Golf that said, like, I'll just put it in my own words. People like Pro the Doge that got his name off of buying a big bag of Dogecoin and not being able to sell because that's where his name come from. You also have that with SHIRO. They'll have their comic on VeVe later this year. Same with daCAT. We can't really sell or else it doesn't look good. You guys also have that kind of illiquid problem where you guys have so much OMI. It's a large amount of supply. You haven't sold. It doesn't look like you can because if you do, you'll have a lot of FUD. But even if you wanted to, there's not a lot of liquidity here for the token. Have you guys thought about burning? Yes or no? And if yes, how have you thought of it as far as burning and putting a percentage?
If not, all our token right now is still on GoChain, so we're probably going to figure it out next couple months to move it off. That's number one. Number two is both myself and Dan, we obviously we co-founders of the business, and we do care about the ecosystem. And I think a lot of the audience have not seen, the things that we're going to be rolling out, that utility of it, and burning is one of the option. Maybe rewarding our long time holders with our founders token could be another option. We really think that VeVeVerse will have eventually will be transact a major part in that OMI anyway. So we may need that extra reserve what we have to help circulating that. I guess your question was more liquidity. If someone was to sell. But if someone was to use it up in VeVeVerse building things and using it up, it will be a different matter. So it's always about finding that fine-tuning balance. You can't really run a world of VeVe metaverse world without enough of something. And also we're quite, I do follow the real world economy. So that inflationary is going to be a key part as well. We also don't want to see certain things just goes up and then it crashes down. I'm more of we both feel grounded to the ground on Earth here. We realize, we understand what needs to be done, what needs to be treated in the system, in the ecosystem to ramp it back up. So over the time we'll see, and we definitely not one of those people who will just dump what we have ourselves onto the market to see to add more negative impact onto it. But we'll announce these once we figured out what we think the best way to do it.
Obviously, I think you'll know which one I'll lobby for. But anyway, we thank you. I know we're supposed to get you out of here a few minutes ago, so thank you for staying over.
I think, Doc, you have one more question. I'll be happy to answer that if you want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome because it is the OMI is my homie show, and I didn't get to ask
Yeah.
an OMI question.
Sure.
So, a couple things. Look, I'm wearing my Portugal shirt. I think it was awesome to see VeVe in Portugal, right? At this NFC conference out there, this non-fungible conference, and where you guys talked about the OMI token kind of for one of the first times, like publicly in a long time, right? And so there's been a lot of questions in the community about, they'd seen that you and Dan really hadn't really talked about OMI for quite some time. You're starting to talk about OMI. So the first part of the question is there some reason why now you guys are able to more talk about it? Is it just the right timing or anything that you can discuss about that? But then also, a lot of people here are trying to, all of these questions are kind of based on what's the utility for OMI going forward, right? We have the bronze tickets, but in the past we talked about land sales where we could buy OMI, or even like OMI specific drops, or like even if it was just like planter, boxes for things in the VeVeVerse, right? That didn't have anything tied to IP, or VeVe specific IP where we could use OMI tokens, and by doing that, it would burn some of those OMI tokens and stuff. So if you could kind of just talk about like what's allowing you guys to talk about OMI now, if you can, and then also what are some of the mechanisms you guys are thinking about going forward, especially tying in kind of some of the things that you guys talked about beforehand with land sales or anything that can be used for OMI.
Yeah. So I think that these are great fellow questions, and for our audience out there, we want to thank you for being part of OMI, and OMI is my homie. A key part why we haven't talked a lot about in the past is because many of you probably will have known that both myself and the company, we were in a court battle, which we recently got a judgment decision that Ecomi was not in any wrongdoing. And during this period, and by the way, this court case has been going on, it's gone so long, it's up to around 5 years now, that during this 5 year, both myself and Dan, we kind of wanted to ensure that we're not manipulating or controlling pricing, making selling pressure or buying pressures, any aspect. Because the allegation against myself and Dan were quite personal, as well as with the company, and because of that lie, we didn't want it to signal too much to the community and talk too much about it. And I think there are pros and cons. The pros and cons is that the plaintiff will have limited resource on what he can be bringing in, and there won't be any surprise attacks on ourselves personally, as well as to the company. But the cons around that is that the community feel that the founders are disengaged, and rest assured, you guys, we are the co-founder of the business. We're here. We have been, a long time now. It seems like a long time in the crypto world, to be honest. And the company continued to build. And it is only recently we start to talk about that utility, what we want to bring out. You have seen the partnership that we have announced with Stacker, and you can use OMI to trade. A major part around what else OMI can be used in the VeVeVerse and our ecosystem that will be announced coming out. The major part where we talked about land sales years ago was when every other company like Decentraland, Sandbox was selling land. But what we start to realize back then, what we found, it was around that regulatory. If we're going to be in the issue, because we're selling a digital land and with an ownership, and doesn't mean if the company doesn't exist anymore, where's that world going? We just want to make sure we mapped all this out before we launch something that ambitious ourselves, to ensure that the regulatory issues are no longer thinking land sale is a security aspect. Both myself and Dan, we pride ourselves to be working with some of the largest brand, and with these large brand, it come with responsibilities, and they do raise questions. We can't just go out and do certain things, even though it is our company, because we do have that bag behind us with all these brands that we need to ensure that they are being looked after and they're being saved. But saying that, the new administration, especially in the US, has been much more open around digital asset, NFT. In fact, they embrace that companies need to build these within the US. So of that light, we are looking at ways to make it more fun. But in VeVe, we don't just release items so we can we have it out there. What we really want to do is have a great narrative story. We want to bring those characters that you buy on VeVe that gives you that laughter, that fun. And if you're not having fun on it, there's not much point to carry on in anything. So we still try to, our next mission, very important, is to bring that new audience, how we can go out to that mass market, and then we, for the crypto OMI holders, we'll come out with some exclusive drops. We definitely will be, and we'll definitely be announcing that utility to purchase items in that VeVeVerse. And whether that will be released directly on VeVe or it will be released on daCAT, we'll be announcing that. And one other thing is around that, the Apple and Google, what they allow and not, what they accept in crypto, or you try to circumvent them out. It is still quite important that we stick within their guidance. What we don't want is these multinational companies just switch us off when we try to come and update our app. So that's a key part. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys posted on with what we have that in development coming, and hopefully, for the audience that's watching and listening out there, we haven't forgotten about you guys. We are here. We want to be more involved, and we hear you. I think a lot of you guys that came to Lisbon, that spend the 3-4 day with us from day to night, we chatted a lot. We got a lot of ideas. We have come back now to the office. Myself and Dan have started going through all these notes and the ideas that you guys are giving us, and we're going to start look at how we best implement and the best practice here.
We thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate that extra time and all that. Keep going out there and winning, getting that bread. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I know you guys run the show for a long time, and I can't remember the last time I was on the show. But every moment, if I do have time, I'll love to be in again, and happy to continue to answer these questions openly, transparently with you guys. There's a lot more going on, and we'll want to tell you more about what's happening and what's happened during that 5 year we lost.
Let's do it. Do it every month, every quarter. We'll follow up with you, and we'll let everyone know.
Cool.
Thanks for
guys,
joining, David.
Yeah,
thanks
thanks
for
so
great
much.
evening
Appreciate it.
or great morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and look forward to speak to you guys all again.
Okay, sounds good. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right. And shout out to the 450 people that are here. I know it sounded like I was trying to get rid of them, and I guess part of me was, they told me a couple of times, like, hey, I have a bunch of meetings today. Hey, I got to get it. So I'm sorry if it sounded like I was trying to shoo them out the door. I would have loved to have them here for 9 hours. We could have them here we could do a 24-hour stream with a bunch of questions if we wanted. But appreciate we got the time that we did. Just to answer a couple of other things, the commonly asked questions. Not that this is going to be an FAQ, but there's one question from, I can't even find it anymore, West Coast guy. Coinbase did announce that they will be introducing a way for anyone on Coinbase to be able to buy any coin on Base from any decentralized exchange. So that does include OMI. So OMI will be on Coinbase at some point. Binance, you typically do not want to go on just because they tend to have very predatory practices. Any token that's been listed on Binance this year is down like an average of 60%, give or take, because they want to have a large amount of supply. So I would generally lobby for them to never go on Binance. The former co-CEO, Ben Rose, also understood this as well. So that's as far as those two are concerned. As far as others, we'll see.
So let me, Randy, let me address that though a little bit more with, first of all, it has to be a Base token, right? Like at least that's where Coinbase is starting out. So because OMI is on Base, that's a big deal, right? And I've seen a lot of people who are just like, well, it's not the same as like a one-off listing. And it's like, no, it's not. But like the whole reason why you want to be on Coinbase is so the ease of access to the token. And whether or not it's a one-off listing or you can purchase it through the decentralized exchange on Coinbase, it's the same thing. You're going to be able to purchase it. And that's what you want, right? Like you want people to be able to be like, oh, I've heard about this OMI token. How can I get it? And instead of walking them through 4 hours of, downloading the Coinbase app and then downloading a MetaMask, telling them about seed phrases and, all of these things that they had to do previously, now they can just go on Coinbase and freaking purchase OMI. Right. Like, and it's awesome. You can do it on Stacker too. But when people are first getting into crypto, they get a centralized exchange. So to have that on Coinbase, even though it's not a one-off listing, it's still a huge deal. So when people are like, oh, yeah, but it's not a one-off listing, I'm like, the whole point is to be on Coinbase, and they're on Coinbase. And that's the ease of access to it. That's huge. Now, I'm going to disagree a little bit with Randy there on the whole Binance thing. Kind of. He is right that like Binance has had predatory practices when basically what happens a lot of times is a project will say, hey, we want you to list our token on your exchange, right? So then Binance is like, well, you got to give us a shit ton of tokens to do that. But a crazy amount of percentage of tokens to do that, right? And then they freaking dump it on the community at some point, right? So then the price just freaking tanks. And so now the reason I say I disagree slightly is if OMI catches a narrative and it starts to pump, Binance can rogue list it. Then the way they do that is they just have to purchase tokens off the market so that they have that liquidity trading pool to do that. And you see tokens do that, or they cut a way better deal. They'll reach out and they'll say, hey, we want to list it. Can we buy it at this price so we're not impacting the price? But like, it's not the same thing as just having to give them tokens and then them dumping it on there. So I agree to a certain extent with Randy that like, you don't want to pay Binance all of these tokens to then list it because they just dump it on them, right? And they just don't care, right? And we see it time and time again. Like that predatory, right?
They listed on Binance this morning, and then it's down it was down 60%. I think it's only down like 40% now. But that DeLorean, it's not just a meme coin. That's backed by like a whole freaking DeLorean motor company, that business, Back to the Future. And again, I'm not saying it was 100% because of Binance, but it just tends to go in line with what usually happens with that pattern.
Leo Millie, shout out, great question. He says, does it matter if you're on Coinbase if no one knows you exist? Right. Obviously, at some point, they're going to have to get marketing, right? But you know what? There are a lot of people who actually know about the OMI token, but it's just not in the narrative. That's the thing. And all it takes is something to hit, and then it's in the narrative. I'd never heard of fart coin before, and then all of a sudden they just went crazy. And so again, it's just at the right time getting that out there. But the important thing is that you're on Coinbase when people start to hear about you, and that's going to be happening. So those are my thoughts on that. Yeah.
There's also, I see bits of money flowing in. Crypto Cosmo posted the other day about somebody paying 9 ETH for a rare Moonbirds. And I looked up, I was like, okay, Moonbirds, I know Moonbirds. I think we've all kind of heard of it, even if we don't know what it is. That was around $20,000. And then I looked at one of the more prominent first appearances over on VeVe, first appearance Grogu, and it was like $280. So, is Moonbirds actually worth 75x more than a first appearance Grogu? I don't think it is, but if that's what needs to happen, if people have to put money into something that might make sense to them but doesn't make sense to anyone else before they go into things that actually make sense to everyone else, I think that's fine. I think that narrative is on its way. I don't think it happens tomorrow. It might not happen for another 8 months, but I do think it's on its way. Rain, what are your thoughts?
Look, a good example of being out of the narrative versus being in the narrative. When NBA Top Shots launched, I was able to get, like they really had a hard time getting traction, and they had the NBA license. So instead of being like NFTs with just a still picture of, say, LeBron James dunking it, they actually had video moments of different cool moments within the NBA with the different stars. And they didn't do well at all. There was no traction at first for a while. And I was able to get a rare LeBron James card. I think there's like 300 of them. And they got it for like $58 on the market. And I was like, oh, cool. LeBron James probably will do well. And it went to like $21,000 later. So like, say, for example, Grogu and Pram, like most of the world is not aware of VeVe right now, and most people aren't paying attention. But it's funny, when crypto goes crazy, everyone starts to wake up to the digital narrative, and they start paying attention to the crypto space. And green candles bring that awareness, and all of a sudden, when that awareness happens, they look at major brands and major intellectual property. Like NBA is pretty big. Fair to say Star Wars is like bigger, and Grogu is like going to be a really big IP. He's fairly new, but it ties off of like Yoda, and he's like a baby Yoda. And Yoda's got good IP, but everyone loves Grogu. I think that secret rare Grogu, even though I don't have one, I think it's going to do incredibly well. I did buy a whole bunch of the common ones because that was like entry price was ridiculously low on those. And having multiples of those, it's easy to take profits on. But I think a lot of VeVe's intellectual property between Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, DC, when this awareness gap hits and people start looking at the digital collectible space, VeVe's crushing it as the #1 provider in digital collectibles. Like, I think NBA Top Shots has done good, NFL Day, UFC Strike, they're all going to do well. VeVe's like that platform that has all these cool augmented reality things. I think it's going to be a really big deal. And a lot of people are just tired of having to be patient to let it play out. And I get it. Like, the truth is, when Topps baseball cards came out in like 1942 or 1952, Topps Mickey Mantle came out. Like, it took forever for that 1952 Mickey Mantle to be worth something. It probably wasn't until the 80s that it was worth, even $1,000. And it wasn't until the 90s that it was worth like $40,000. It wasn't until like 2010 or later that it was worth $500,000 to $1 million. So it takes a while for these things to catch on and the scarcity to matter. But with adoption curves shortening and shortening and shortening, I think VeVe will go from these very low prices to really high prices on some of these highly desirable collectibles in fairly short order. I think in this coming bull run that some of these prices will really moon and go up 50x to 200x. I think in the coming 50 years, some of these things will just be completely untouchable, that most of the world would not be able to afford them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the question is, and honestly, when I'm taking a step back and saying, like the money I put into VeVe, when will it hit mainstream? It's not if it hits mainstream. It's when it hits mainstream. And this is digital collectibles in general, right? And is VeVe still around? Like, that's the big thing. VeVe's still got to make it, and I love that they're still selling out certain drops. They're still doing it, and I'm really excited for the people who just joined or they didn't catch what David was saying. Right? Is there's some sort of there was a big announcement that was supposed to happen at the end of May. It didn't happen. And everyone thought it was some comic announcement, and it's not that comic announcement. And David on this interview said that he is working on some sort of connection with Gen Z that he's going to be making an announcement about here in hopefully the next couple of weeks, right? But let's round that up to a month because it was already supposed to happen last month, and it's already been almost a month. So but at some point, right, like into the early third quarter, there's going to be an announcement here tying something to Gen Z, and I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what that is, but that might quicken the adoption curve a little bit. But at the end of the day, like Rain was saying, is it's going to happen. And if VeVe's around still, which I believe that they will be, then some of these like collectibles, man, the Grogu's, I mean, even like the Todds and the Rizzos, I mean, season one stuff just in general is going to go crazy. And now he's talking about some sort of mechanism, right, to retire, or however, whatever term he used, some of these higher volume comic books. That's a big deal to create more scarcity there. So like they're constantly thinking of ways to kind of add value to the people who are here. And like I know it's cliche to say, but we're still early. And it's funny because we were early back in 2021, and most people that I interact with, most of them came in that are still here, came in sometime in 2021, anywhere from like, February to around like November with the golden moments. And then there was this huge upswing in adoption while NFTs went big, and then it all crashed. And that's the thing, is we're looking at these prices right now, and it's insane, right? When I look at how much I paid for a freaking Steamboat Willie, a 3-digit Steamboat Willie, and what it's going for now, right? But like, I think 10 years, 20 years from now, if digital collectibles are mainstream, which I believe they will be, some of these things are just going to be out of reach for the general population. And what that means is it's like the millionaires, right, who are buying these to flex them, and they're going to be paying a pretty penny because those are the only people who can afford it.
Exactly right. Like those people there was very few people. I think I can count them on one hand of the people that I know that took the original base set Pokemon boxes. And David mentioning Pokemon like 5 times here. It might have been just because it's on his mind. It's super popular right now. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, there were I know I think 2 people that bought a couple of first edition base set boxes, threw them in the back of their closet, and then 20 years later, like, oh yeah, got these. Almost nobody was thinking about it back in '99, and just like how there are very few people that are thinking about buying that Iron Man Funko Pop, throwing it up in the attic for 10 years, buying any of these NFTs from season 1, season 2, whatever. There's a couple of these that are now, we have the, I guess, disadvantage that in physical, a lot of them get broken up, a lot of them get ruined. These things, they're not going to be ruined. Maybe they'll be in bot accounts that are essentially burned, but I don't think. Yeah,
but they can retire some of them, Randy. There's mechanisms, right, where like even though there are higher editions on certain things, and yeah, there is no wear and tear on it, right? Mint numbers, this is where mint numbers will matter. And then also, like, will they create additional mechanisms to retire or get rid of higher edition things, anyways, to make them more scarce? Sorry.
Oh, you're good. One of the things that I'm going to be selfish here, I hope he does, said that the founders might give some of the OMI to the people that have held OMI the longest. Oh my God. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that might cause more FUD from the people, from the have-nots, who are like, oh yeah, money goes to money, they take care of the whales like a casino, heck the little people? Or do you think that's going to incentivize people to just be like, you know what, I have $10 million in my Comey wallet, whatever, or 10 million OMI in my Comey wallet, that's never going to go anywhere now? Or somewhere in between.
Yeah, that would be curious to see how they break it up. I don't know if that will come together, but I'm probably one of the longest holders here if you count my pre-sale tokens. That I don't have access to that GovChain wallet anyway. But I've not sold any OMI tokens, only bought. That would be hard to administer, giving it to those that have held it the longest. That was interesting, like using it for the VeVeVerse and some other things. We'll see. Like, I don't mind that founders get value for their time. It isn't abnormal for founders to get tokens like what they have. And some people are like, well, you burn so much of it, now you have such a high percent. Like, that's a bad thing. It's a good thing that they burn so much of it. Them spending it, like, I think David's most passionate about seeing VeVe happen, and he's committed to making VeVe like grow big. And he doesn't strike me as a greedy person at all, and I don't even think it would be greedy for somebody to take those tokens and sell off little bits of it for time as the market goes well. But it seems like he's just looking at ways to give that back to the community in some ways, which is like more than he needs to do. But hey, I'll take it. One of the things I really like about VeVe is their founders, David and Dan. I think they're a really big deal. When I'm investing in a company, I like to see founders that I can trust, I can believe in. And David and Dan have more than delivered that since I first saw an interview with them in 2018 talking about what they wanted to do with this project.
I think it's important to realize like a couple things. They could have dumped on the community a while ago when the token price was high. There were founder unlocks, right? And they could have done that, and they didn't do that. And so the other thing is they're not incentivized to dump. When you hold that many tokens, you don't want to just dump it on the market, right? Like there's smart ways to do it. You can do OTC deals or whatever. Like they absolutely deserve to sell their tokens at some point, right? But they're going to be smart about it because they're building up this whole company, and like if they dump it all, they're going to crash the company that they're building. Like it's counterintuitive to what their whole goal is. And the other thing too that I highly recommend, guys, if you can go to a smaller event that VeVe has. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, I've been to New York Comic-Con, right? To be able to go to this NFC Lisbon was a big deal for me because I got some crazy valuable FaceTime with Dan and David and Dr. Profit. It was me and Crypto Cosmo, and we went to one of the VeVe events. I got to ride in the car with him for an hour and just talk to him. And it was amazing because they there was no arrogance there. There's no condescension of like, I'm worth so much more than you, or who you're just a community member or anything like that. It was literally like we were colleagues. Like it's amazing. And so like that to me, because I've talked to a lot of other founders when I go to conventions, even like NFT NYC, the arrogance that you get from some of those people and these founders is crazy. And like you look at Do Kwon and how well Terra Luna was doing, and the arrogance that guy had that just brought it all down. And Dan and David just don't have that, man. They really care. They're passionate about it, and they love this stuff. And so that makes me really bullish. And yeah, I agree with Rain that it would be kind of tough to be like, okay, who are the longest holders of the tokens, and we're going to do that. But what his response showed is that they're looking at ways to handle those founder tokens apart from just selling them, right, and making money themselves. And I thought that was great because they have every right to just hold on to them and sell them. They built this company. They built a Comey. They've had to deal with a freaking 5-year lawsuit. And I hope that people rewatch this interview and they look at that response that David gave. The reason they were not able to talk about the OMI token is, and to me, to summarize it, basically was like they couldn't be found to be manipulating the token price in any way, right? While this lawsuit was going on. And so like, because if you talk about it in any way, like any substantial way, if you announce something or you talk something and then all of a sudden the price goes up or the price goes down, right? Then in this lawsuit, can that be used against them? And so they just had to be cautious with that. And so now that lawsuit is done, now we're seeing that. So I hope that people pay attention. There's that transparency, and it makes so much sense. For the longest time, whether it was on Around the Gummiverse or Only Is My Homie, I said the two things that I thought were the reasons why they weren't talking about the token was number one, regulatory uncertainty, and then number two, potentially this lawsuit. Because you can see in lawsuits sometimes where there are gag orders where you're just not able to talk about certain things. So I don't know if that was also the case there, but hopefully as people see this, right, they see why they couldn't talk about it now. I mean, why they couldn't talk about it in the past and why they're starting to talk about it a lot more. I mean, David came on, OMI is my homie. Guys, like that's a big deal. And he was saying OMI homies and everything like that. So like I'm super bullish, and obviously they are now starting to focus a lot more on the token.
Agreed. Chosen, I'm not sure if I don't know if they have 100% of this year's figured out yet, but I'll see. I'll give them an ask next time I can get that bread. And Doc, we know you gotta bounce as well. Any lasting comments before you get out of here?
No, well, only this. I hope you guys appreciate all the time and effort that Randy and Crypto Rain put into this community. They're amazing. I am honored to just be a co-host with them on this show. I love it. I love their insights. They're fantastic. Appreciate the community. And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Thank you, Dr. Stuff. You're a legend.
Love you, Doc. I love him.
I know, right? He's so smart.
Yeah, he's so cool too. We've had I guess even though it was only on for 40-ish minutes, a lot to go over there. What was your favorite part?
Well, it was fun hearing some of the things that they plan to do. I feel like he dropped so much alpha. I enjoyed hearing his answers on the VeVeVerse and them talking about some of these things like that have kind of come up. Like, oh, what if we did a Lamborghini dealership in the VeVeVerse? What if we did a one-of-one that was sold through the Lamborghini dealership in the VeVeVerse? So what kind of ideas? I hadn't thought about that. I would love to see in the VeVeVerse that it's easy to share like your room or your vault that you can set up so that people could just share a link on their social media that somebody could come into like their vault and see all their cool things. I think that would help it go very viral, the ease of sharing it. Of course, people can take a screenshot of their vault and set it up a certain way and they can share that right now. But it'd be cool if somebody could just click a link and go into somebody's vault and look around at like, or say some segment of somebody's vault that they want the public to easily be able to go see. That would be fun. And it would help people really get a feel for it. Also, like I remember this rich person talking about a rich person problem, right? He's like, oh my gosh, I can't buy any art. Would have to buy yet another house just to display it, which is a problem that rich people run into, right? Is like, well, if you have stuff, you then want to display it because people like to socially flex. And I think at some point, these VeVe collectibles become major social flexes. And they'll become major social flexes if there's an easy way to socially flex it. So I think that link where people can go in and see what you want to socially flex helps that. Either that or for now, you can always take a screenshot of it. But I think that link for people to be able to go in would help with that.
Agreed. As far as OMI, yeah, I'm happy to report that I now have 260 million OMI, and I'll be able to go in and get, obviously the goal for me is still 1 billion. Is that going to happen? That's going to be very hard. The only way is if either Dfinity or DEVVE go crazy, while OMI either stays at this price or it goes down over the next few months. More realistic is probably going to be 500 million. But the lowest in which I get will probably be 300 million. That'll probably be in sometime over summer. But again, that's for me because I believe that this is, at the end of the day, they're still making money. At the end of the day, the thesis hasn't changed. The only people that are selling, I think, are people that either have a gross misunderstanding of where value comes from, or they are smart, but they are letting their emotions cloud their judgment and get in the way of things. Again, none of that's financial advice. That's just my take on it.
Well, in investments in markets in general, like tons of people sell the bottom every single market there is, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, whether it's Microsoft stock, and you wish they wouldn't, but you try to talk them out of it and you can't because it's an emotionally made decision. Oh my gosh. People want to feel like they're investing where the action is. And so they sell what's low to buy what's high, and they do it over and over again. And then they're like, oh, investing isn't for me, because they end up having poor results. And maybe investing isn't for them, because to do well in investing, you got to buy what's cheap, buy what's low, and sell what's high. And to do that takes research, it takes patience. And instead of going into what's hot and where the action is, you're selling where the action is and going into where the action isn't. There's a lot of people that can't do that. I wish they could. I try to help them see that that's the way to go. And some people, that message resonates really well with them because they understand buy low, sell high, and they take the right actions to do that. And some people, they just can't.
In an episode of The Office, we learned that it's cheaper to keep an existing client than it is to onboard a new one. And obviously the NFT narrative will take care of a lot of that. And there's a small but mighty, community that's here right now. But how do you think David goes about reinvigorating the old clients that we have that have just given up hope? How do we go in and market towards them as opposed to bringing in new people?
Don't market towards them, just bring in new people. And so I'm familiar with that model. That is talking about a traditional business model, but not this. So if you've ever had like a girlfriend where you're breaking up and on your out, so this is much more an emotional decision. The worst thing you can do as a man is chase that girl to try to get her back, because then she'll be like, no. The best thing you can do is move on and start dating 15 other girls. And that girl will be like, oh my gosh, what, Randy? What about me? Didn't you care about me? Did you love me ever? The best thing that they can do is attract 15 more clients or 15 new VeVe users for every one that they lost. And prices will start going up. And guess what will happen with all those VeVe users who left? Oh, they will come right back. And so the best thing for them to do is new user acquisition, not trying to get back. And trying to get someone back is like chasing your ex-girlfriend, trying to convince her to come back to you. Just go get new people. It'll work out just fine.
That is such a good point. I got tricked into the like Disney princess thing where it's like, oh, if you just do this one thing, if you're like a nice guy, then they'll they'll accept you and they'll be like, yeah, you can be mine. But then as life taught me, it was a very different thing. The reality is much different, and I think much better. You get to have more fun. I think in that respect, going in and getting new clients is probably the right thing to do, probably the easier thing to do, because again, you're just going to have to ride that wave. So hopefully
we're joined by a second special guest for the day.
Raxel. What up,
yeah,
bro?
David, you was on earlier.
That's cool. How are you?
What you up to?
Cooking dinner, bringing my hubby food.
Nice.
Just looking beautiful,
Just woke up like this,
She really did wake up just like that. I know some girls say that and they're like, and they did 2 hours of makeup, but no, she wakes up looking like this.
I do pay for eyelash extensions, so I can wake up like this. But
What are paper eyelashes?
She pays
I pay for them.
for eyelash extensions.
Oh, I thought you said paper. I was like, is that a new type of thing? But
VeVe said, I miss you. I miss you too.
She will be coming to San Diego Comic-Con, so
Yay.
everyone that's there will get to meet her in person.
get that bread.
Have a really good time and spend some time at the beach while y'all are doing.
Oh
your
yeah.
thing. It's gonna be
How
great.
far away is San Diego from the beach?
Pretty close.
I feel like it's right
San
on
Diego
there,
is a fairly small city, actually. A lot of California is really, really big, but San Diego is small in comparison.
I love San Diego. It's one of my favorite places.
I love San Diego Comic-Con because it takes over the whole town, and you just have go into restaurants and clubs, like everyone's in cosplay and
Is this
everyone.
all dressed up?
I know she should dress up like. Well, she doesn't follow
Should
any
I
of the
do-
cosplay
Oh,
stuff.
wait, I was gonna say Wonder Woman, but she's a brunette. But I could.
You could be a blonde Wonder Woman.
Could I just? Is there like some sexy superhero?
Yes. What's Joker's girlfriend?
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. She'd be an amazing.
I could be Harley Quinn. The
There we go.
fishnets and all the things.
Yeah, and the tight tank top that shows off your waist.
Yeah.
I love that.
Could be Power Girl too.
Or it's not a tank top; it's a cutoff.
He's like, just wear a bra. It'll be fine.
I will be. Well, I won't be there, but for New York Comic Con, I'm gonna go in my. I forget.
Yeah,
I forget what it was
I
called.
love those abs. Yeah,
awesome.
that's sexy.
The Squishmallow one. Yeah, that's the.
I like
That's
it.
funny.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
maybe I'll get with Bam Bam and Tammy. Maybe we can coordinate some costumes.
Oh, for New York, yeah, we could do that. We can
No,
separate.
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. I think she was Hella a few years back. I don't know which Comic-Con it was for though. Forget.
I mean, I'm not even going to go to some of the conferences, but I'll dress up. We'll go to
Just
the
for
beach dressed up.
Yeah, Raxel's comic book knowledge is, let's just say, very limited. But you show her some pictures, she can do that.
I could do Harley Quinn. I could pull that off.
That'd be fun.
You get that. You need to put on a Brooklyn accent and get a bat.
I'm gonna have. Okay, I can definitely get the bat. I'm gonna have to practice on the accent.
I think that would be a good one. And then do you know who Power Girl is?
I don't.
No, should I?
I mean, I think it would.
Oh, I totally could do that.
I feel
Wow.
like, yeah, I feel like that's.
She's got like the
Yeah,
thing
she's
and
got the same legs. So.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty good at casting.
Yeah. That's fun.
Oh, and then there wants some girl time too, which I feel like girl time and guy time. I feel like we all need that. Need our
Do you need girl time?
Well,
We need us to go have girl time so you guys can like. That's funny. I can use girl
we need that. I mean, there's enough days. There's enough days where I think we're there. San Diego's like 5 days.
It's like the 23rd, right? 23rd through that weekend.
San Diego it starts on the 24th technically, but there are parties on that Wednesday night. And then 27th is technically the last day. But yeah, again, that Wednesday night, there'll be people there. There's parties. You can't go to every party. It's insane.
Now that's a challenge. I can go to every party.
You might be able to go to half of
Find a
them,
way.
but
Like I will find a way.
there's a lot. Because everywhere has themed drinks and everywhere has themed so it's a lot of fun.
Themed drinks.
Yeah.
Is there a Harley Quinn drink or a whatever?
I guess it depends on which Harley Quinn you're talking about, but yeah, I'm assuming there's probably a few.
Not the one that acts all dumb. I like the smart one. Is there a smart one?
Yeah. Yeah. From the new Batman movie, she was really, really smart. Before Joker wiped
I mean,
her
she's
brain.
a doctor, so I mean, she's at least book smart.
Oh, maybe
Psychologist.
Dr. Harley Quinn glasses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sexy. Before she got Joker eyes.
Just wear a lab coat.
There you go.
That'd be good. And I think before then, I think she actually has brown hair if she's Dr. Harley Quinn, because I think the bleach messes up her hair.
I could
Yeah.
wear.
Or I know she's not a real blonde. I don't know if she dyes it after the fact or if it's
You know
just
what? I'm not either.
coincidence.
Yeah, I did Jokerize her. That was part of the dating process.
Couples who cosplay together stay together. I had a few of those myself. They were good times.
Well, thanks, baby.
Bye.
Love you.
All right, Axel.
All right, appreciate it.
What are y'all doing tonight?
I got another meeting in a little bit, and gonna grab some dinner.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Cool beans. I would say we could I forgot to tell David. We had now I don't even know if I told you. So Definity now has OMI on their balance sheet, which I thought was really cool.
Nice.
And so does daCAT. daCAT be having OMI on their balance sheet now too. Let's go. It's a good time. Yeah, there's so many other things I'd want to ask. And again, it's really nice of them to offer to come on every now and then. So maybe we'll shoot
Take
for
him
once
up
a
on
month.
that. Yeah, for sure. It makes so much sense what he shared about why they couldn't talk about OMI. Yeah, and I figured a lot of it was for the SEC reason. I didn't realize really how intensive that lawsuit was. But glad that's over. The SEC, the new SEC chair is a lot more crypto friendly and not trying to destroy crypto like the previous one was. So yeah, lots of good things for OMI. It's kind of good that it happened, all this stuff, because like investors, we like to buy low so that we can sell high, and OMI's gone really, really, really low. And some people see that as bad. Okay. I see it as good. I just dollar cost averaged into some more yesterday. And it's like, cool. When I'm looking for to sell is like once every 4 years. Once every 4 years, crypto goes absolutely berserk. And that's what I'm going to sell all my tokens into. So in the meantime, wouldn't you rather have it go down so that you can buy just even a little bit more cheap? And then you have even more for when it goes crazy. And since it's not time for it to go absolutely crazy yet, in the meantime, having it be so cheap is a really good thing. I know a lot of people don't see it that way because they're still learning how to be investors, investing in cycles like what crypto does.
Heck yeah. I think, though, because of the PTSD I have from this time, whenever that blow off top does happen in the next 2 to 10 months, I will probably not touch crypto for another 3 years after that. Because again, like in a year from now, you would have been considered smart if we would have bought 2 years ago, which would have been 3 years from the all time, because it obviously would have been down and we would have been able to sell it that high. But that these extra last 2 years where it just kept going down, that is not a great feeling. So I am probably going to miss out on a couple of things next bear cycle, because there'll be some great opportunities for either pre-sales, ICOs, or just something that just happens to be down a lot. And I'll say like, nope, it's not time yet, because we're going to still be in bear market territory for another 2 years, and it'll probably do like a 30x while I'm waiting. I know what I'm doing, or I know what I'm going to miss most likely, and that is something I am willing to do to not get wrecked again. How is your recovery as far as after you sell near the all-time highs, and do you go in again and buy like a year later, or do you have a set time, or if it's a good project, it's a good project, and just start DCA?
Yeah, see, it's hard to know the exact right time to buy. So right now you have the benefit of history, and oh my gosh, OMI is cheaper than anyone ever thought it would be. And so really what you end up doing is buying low and not end up buying the bottom, because you don't know how it's going to play out. And so don't hold yourself to that standard, because it's an impossible standard to hit, as well as you'll end up selling, if you're doing things right, some of your tokens too early, because you don't know where the top is either. And so you never end up buying the bottom, and you never end up buying or selling the top. It's just part of the problem of, okay, OMI went 3,000x last cycle, but most people didn't end up buying at the very bottom, and they didn't end up selling the very top either. And so if you mess that all up, maybe you only got 200x out of it. Not bad. Not bad.
Only 200x.
Right. And so like you won't end up getting the bottom next bear market either. And so like I would say just I'll be researching which projects I really, really like during the next bear market. When I see prices that are really good, then I'm going to start buying. And I'm going to have some mechanisms where I have monthly cash flow coming in so that I can just not only roll some of the capital that I've set aside specifically for crypto back in, but also having that capital to just dollar cost average more in during the bear market.
Same. Agreed, fam. I know you have to bounce, so we can go and end it here and have a we'll get you out of here, and then we'll go in and meet back next week for another episode of OMI is my homie. I'm going to have to rewatch this because there's definitely a couple of things that I missed. I'll let you know what I find. Do you have anything else before we bounce?
No, we'll see y'all soon. I guess in 1 month is San Diego Comic-Con, so hope to see many of you there in person, and I'll be bringing Miss Rain as well.
Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We'll catch you all later.